Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Scott Peters. I represent the 50th Congressional District of California in the U.S. House, and that stretches from Coronado on the border and portions of coastal San Diego up north to southern Escondido and San Marcos. So thanks for having me today. A little bit about me. I started as an environmental lawyer for about 15 years. One day I got angry at the city and decided to run for city council. So my wife gave me permission to take a pay cut and use some of my legal skills to solve problems. We did a lot to build up downtown, including the ballpark, and solve a lot of the sewer spills and fix a lot of infrastructure, and really enjoyed it. Was the first city council president, became the Port Commission chair, and then friends of mine asked me to run for Congress in 2011 from the League of Conservation Voters and Planned Parenthood. They said I was the kind of Democrat that could get elected to an area that had never elected a Democrat. And I did. I think I'm perceived as being a civil rights Democrat, but someone who's pragmatic about solutions. And that's certainly the approach I've taken since 2013 when I first joined. When I came to Congress in 2013, I asked Jerry Sanders, who was the president of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, what's the biggest investment, most important investment that the federal government could make to prioritize job growth in our region? And he said, we need to invest in critical infrastructure along our border with Mexico. He was talking about border weights. He was talking, not talking about a wall, he was talking about a gateway between San Diego and Tijuana with expanded customs facilities, additional vehicle and truck lanes, investments we made since then, and investments we continue making along our border keep our binational region thriving, including the magnificent crossing at San Ysidro, which I think taxpayers can be proud of, that both provides access for trade, but also checks for things that we don't want to come in, whether it's smuggled people, guns, or drugs. Over the last 3 decades, trade between the U.S. and Mexico has increased exponentially. Now Mexico ranks among our top partners in trade consistently. In 2021, Mexico was the #1 trading partner in trading value, followed by Canada and China, according to the Department of Commerce. And trade plays a critical role in the San Diego economy by supporting over 110,000 jobs and a $2.5 billion supply chain. The cross-border trade also presents challenges like differences in regulations, languages, cultural norms. Those challenges can make it difficult for companies to navigate cross-border business and to hinder the ability to reach new markets and expand operations. And that's where innovation comes in. Technological advancements can help businesses take advantage of the unique opportunities our region presents. Digital platforms, for instance, e-commerce marketplaces, have made it easier for businesses to connect with customers and suppliers from around the world. That reduces costs, eliminates many obstacles involved in cross-border trade. So governments need to create a regulatory environment that encourages innovation and supports businesses looking to expand internationally. But the connections between San Diego and Mexico go beyond our economies. San Diego and Tijuana also share a distinct identity and history. We share culture, languages, art, food, and of course the natural wonder that's the Pacific Ocean. And it's no surprise that both of our cities are tourist destinations in their own right. And so in this region, there's more that unites us than divides us. And it's folks like all of you at Arkusnexus who are continuing to shepherd the relationship that builds winners on both sides of the border. So thanks for the time and allowing me to introduce myself and participate. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Congressman. It's certainly very relevant to our audience to hear what's going on from the public sector in our region, as it is unique in the globe. I'd like to open it up to a few questions from our audience, and hopefully our audio will go through correctly to you, and we can have a dialogue going. Does anybody have any questions for the Congressman? We'll start with Neil in the back.
How's the debt ceiling conversation going? Sorry with that hard ball. Sorry.
By the way, it's kind of funny when a company has problems with tech, but the best example was when I went to visit Tesla and they couldn't get the PowerPoint to work. So don't feel bad. The debt ceiling. So the Republicans took their vote today and they passed their version of a debt ceiling. I think everyone knows that it will not go anywhere in the Senate, but I think it's actually good that they put something on the table. I support a clean debt ceiling vote like most Democrats. I think we should not be messing around with paying the credit card bill. I also do think that we should have an honest conversation about spending, because the cost of interest is taking a larger and larger role, a place in the budget. And I think within 10 years, we'll be spending more on interest under current trends than we're spending on defense. So we can't afford that. We have to use that money for real investments, not paying interest on because we're borrowing to pay our expenses. So I do lead the debt and deficit task force on the problem solvers, which is a bipartisan group of members. We came up with a framework to solve the debt ceiling problem that we suggested last week, and we hope that the people negotiating will use that as a framework to both take this sort of Damocles away from our necks, but really have a conversation after that about what to do about debt and deficit and making sure that our balance sheet stays strong.
So, Congressman, in the late 90s, getting cross-border technology collaboration going, with bandwidth constraints was, difficult if not impossible. I mean, certainly over at San Diego State and the universities in Baja, it was being attempted. But today, we're seeing a lot greater collaboration. But a lot of companies in San Diego don't seem to know about it. Have you guys considered or thought about collaboration centers here in San Diego where those advantages can be explored?
It's a kind of a cool idea. First of all, I want to acknowledge that although we're clearly a border region and it's one of the main pillars of our economy, that a lot of people don't even see it here themselves, just like they don't know we're a biotechnology center in many ways. So getting the word out is important. I've not heard of a collaboration center as an idea. What I'd like you to do is if you've got an example of someplace where that works, bring that up with some of the local officials who might be able to help set that up. But getting the word out about this kind of technology can only help our relationship with Mexico, which is a personal goal of mine and really important for us when some people in Washington have been talking about Mexico as an enemy. Mexico's our friend and a partner, and we need to treat them like that. So any opportunity to raise awareness about ways to collaborate, I think I'd be interested in knowing about. So Caesar is my staffer on here. If you want to follow up with him on what a collaboration center might look like, I'd be happy to talk about it with you more.
Yeah, for sure. So downtown, the co-working center WeWork hosts a lot of these collaborations between San Diego companies and Baja companies, and on Thursdays a lot of this is going on already. And in the late 90s, I helped with the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we were attempting some of this stuff. But now, as a software company, I'm starting to see it happening with more regularity. So the business is the infrastructure's there. And I wanted to call your attention that it's going on already, and I think that a lot of San Diego companies don't even understand that the tech talent in Baja has grown to such a point where, we could, it can be as simple as the city and your district getting involved to interface and host those events at WeWork.
Okay.
Yeah.
So convene a discussion about that. That would be a smart thing to do.
Congressman, this is Reza Rasul, CTO at Real Networks. Much of the conversation at this conference has been about AI. In Europe, they're famous for creating legislation across the entire territory. The GDPR is notable. And the lack of legislation or the fragmented regulatory environment in the US just represents a minefield of liability for technology companies and vendors and so on. Do you see anything on the horizon in terms of legislation that could set the field for AI in particular?
So first of all, that's a great question. This is an issue where when technology meets Washington, technology is already 10 miles ahead of Washington. You hear those, when we talk to Mark Zuckerberg or We had the TikTok CEO in. It's pretty clear that we're a little bit disadvantaged in terms of being up to speed on that kind of technology. So we really rely on industry to help us understand what the need is for regulation. So whether it's crypto, whether it's automated vehicles, whether it's social media, now AI, we're going to need a lot of input. Privacy, that was the other thing, privacy law. We need one privacy standard. We're going to need a lot of input from folks like you about what regulation should look like. So before the Sam Bankman-Fried thing collapsed, we were having a pretty good conversation about how to set up a market for crypto that would sort of create rules that people could rely on and boundaries, but not squelch innovation. And AI, I think, is further back from that. It is, we are just starting a conversation about that. And if you have ideas for us, we'd love to hear them. I think we all have got to get smart on it. But it is my committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, that will handle that. And so, we'd love to hear directly from you about what you thought would be ways to draw the rules up so that people can play fair and still be able to play and innovate.
Sure, and Washington has done this successfully in the past. At the birth of the internet, you recall the fears about the Napsterization of Hollywood, but then
Yes.
There was very strong legislation that came for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA.
Yeah.
That set the level playing field, and it was a federally mandated law, and that, coupled with technology innovations in terms of digital rights management and cryptography and so on, gives us now the over-the-top internet streaming media that we all enjoy now. It became mainstream. So it's not that Washington's not able to do this. I think we're looking for something similar to that. But you're saying that industry should maybe draft such legislation or
Well, I know that I think Washington can do it, or Washington has to do it. All I'm saying is that the bills you cited involved a lot of legwork and research up front to make sure that we got it right. And that process is just starting now. So I'm just inviting you to be part of it and to let us know if you have ideas about how that should be set up, because we will get to the point where we want to set up legislation that does make sense in that way. But there's a lot of legwork that has to go in ahead of time to make sure that we get it right. And I want to do that. But thanks again for your work, and thanks for the opportunity to chat. And let's say hi in the street sometime.
Likewise. Thank you for your time.